We are constantly getting told to get a hobby. Something relaxing, something creative, something that is just for you. And on the surface, that sounds really healthy and even is encouraged. But lately, I have been wondering about whether modern hobby culture is actually about hobbies at all, or whether it has quietly turned into just another branch of consumerism.
The conversation most people aren't ready to have is our confusion for identity in purchases rather than identity in ourselves. For example, you can go to the gym and buy all the cutest gym outfits or gym clothes in the world, but if you never make it to the gym and you just own all these gym clothes, are you still a gym girl?
Sometimes the internet makes us feel like we have to have a perfect hobby room with floor-to-ceiling bookcases, the perfect gaming setup, and a cart full of craft supplies just to call ourselves hobbyists. Don't get me wrong, that's like a lot of my feed. I'm obsessed with those videos, but I feel really strongly that we all should have hobbies and they don't have to be super expensive or consumeristic.
Because when you look at how hobbies are discussed online now, it often feels less like doing something, but rather buying yourself into some different identity. So today I want to unpack that, not to shame anyone, not to say that hobbies are a bad thing, but to ask some genuinely uncomfortable questions. Is hobby culture still about enjoyment, or is it just another thing we have been pressured to consume? If you are new here, please be sure to hit that subscribe button down below and join us on the journey to 1,000 subs. I would love for you to be a part of this little corner of the internet. I do want to say this very clearly before we get into it. I'm definitely not anti-hobby. I'm not anti-spending money, and I'm definitely not anti-joy. I think this video just comes from a place of observation, curiosity, and just a sense that something feels slightly off. Because hobbies are supposed to be something restorative. They are supposed to slow us down. They're supposed to exist outside of being productive or being performative.
We have a really weird relationship with our hobbies because we make our hobbies so much more money than they need to be. And it's because so many people have shopping addictions. So many people have strong brand loyalty or view things as gear and tactical items that are really just a camouflage for like overconsumption and overspending.
And yet, when you scroll through these hobby spaces online, a lot of them suspiciously look like shopping catalogues. Think about how hobbies are usually presented now. You don't just run, you are a runner. And that comes with specialized shoes, fitness trackers, matching outfits, supplements, apps, content subscriptions.
I'm starting to believe running is less of a hobby and more of a pyramid scheme. And hear me out here. One person starts running, they get the Strava kudos, they buy the Pure Sport socks and the unsolicited Lycra shorts, and they recruit a friend. It's giving Herbalife. It's giving, hey girlie, I've got an opportunity for you, let's collab. Except for instead of selling the dodgiest meal replacement shakes known to man, they're selling you a half marathon ticket and getting your hopes up that you'll be able to get entry through the London Marathon ballot next year.
You don't just paint, you need high-end brushes, aesthetic palettes, studio lighting, storage systems, and a perfectly curated desk setup. You don't just read, you're suddenly into HobbyTok, special editions, color-coded shelves, annotated copies, reading journals, themed bookmarks.
I don't have any hobbies, actually. This isn't a hobby. This consumes my entire life. A hobby is something you do on the side. This is not a side project. I'd say eating is my hobby.
And of course, none of this is inherently bad, but I think somewhere along the line, participation really becomes indistinguishable from purchasing. It's like hobbies now come with this undisclosed entry fee.
I am tired of spending money, and like many, I am on a low-buy journey, and I was thinking about it, like, what do I do in my free time when I'm able to do something I want to do? And like, often that thing has something to do with spending money. I love to thrift, and will I be stopping thrifting? No. But why is it that like the thing that I enjoy is spending money, which is like the root of capitalism?
And if you're not buying the right things and you just aren't doing it right, I think one of the biggest shifts in hobby culture isn't that you just do these hobbies. They're things we are. You're not someone who enjoys yoga. You are a yoga person. You're not someone who likes baking. You're a sourdough person. You're not someone who just likes to take photos. You are a photography person with all of the gear to prove it. And I think once a hobby really becomes your identity, it then becomes really easy to market it to, because now we aren't just enjoying the activity, it's about maintaining that identity, keeping up, upgrading, staying relevant. Consumption just becomes part of belonging. And of course, we cannot talk about this without talking about social media, because platforms definitely don't just reward quiet consumption. They reward visuals and hauls, upgrades, things I wish I knew before starting, must-have items. So hobby content is slowly moving away from just the enjoyment and rather the aesthetic of participation. You don't just see someone quietly enjoying their hobby for years with the same basic setup. You see constant optimization. And when that's the dominant image, it suddenly is rewiring how we are really viewing this culture online. Enjoyment is becoming something you've got to prove, visually, financially, and algorithmically. Another thing that just really unsettles me now is just how hobbies can't be useless. They have to somewhat improve you or heal you or monetize eventually, or something you can only turn into a side hustle or that can build your personal brand. Suddenly, your relaxing hobby is coming with a lot of pressure. Why aren't you posting it? Why aren't you selling it? Why aren't you getting better faster? Why aren't you maximizing it? That's when hobbies are stopping becoming hobbies, rather just unpaid labor.
You know, capitalism is the reason you feel pressured to monetize your hobbies. You don't have to have a side hustle. You don't have to turn joy into productivity. You don't need to be profitable to deserve rest or creative freedom. You're allowed to make things badly, to make things slowly, to make things just because you like it. It doesn't have to make sense to anyone else. Your hobbies are yours, and they don't have to make you money to be valuable.
Rest gets repackaged as self-improvement. Joy gets repackaged as some sort of output. Really, who is benefiting from this? It's the part that makes me the most suspicious. When hobbies become really consumer heavy, who is actually benefiting in all of this? Because it's rarely the person doing the hobby. It's the brands, the platforms, the influencers, the affiliate links and subscription services. We're encouraged to constantly be investing in ourselves through purchases under the banners of wellness, creativity, or just self-care. And again, I'm not saying never buy anything or don't do hobbies. I think they are really good for you. I'm just saying whether it's worth asking, is the joy coming from the activity or from the act of consuming everything around it? Because I think those are two very different things. Historically, hobbies were usually repetitive, low status, inexpensive, and often invisible. People knitted with whatever yarn they had at home. They drew with the same cheap pencils for years. They played instruments badly and privately for fun. No audience, no optimization, no constant upgrading. And I think something really valuable gets lost when hobbies become performative. Not everything needs to be beautiful, and not everything needs to be shared. Not everything needs to justify itself economically. For me, I don't think the red flag is necessarily spending money on hobbies. It's feeling like you can't enjoy a hobby without spending lots of money first. It's when starting feels impossible unless you have the right gear. It's when scrolling hobby content makes you feel inadequate rather than inspired. It's when rest is just another thing you feel like you're failing at. A hobby shouldn't make you feel like you're behind. So is hobby culture just consumerism in a pretty package? I don't think it's only about consumerism, but I do think hobby culture is getting deeply entangled with it. And the danger isn't just that hobbies are entangled with capitalism. I mean, that is unavoidable. I think the danger is when buying replaces doing, identity replaces enjoyment, and optimization replaces rest. Because at that point, really, the hobby stops serving you. Rather, you're starting to serve the system. I think hobbies should be allowed to be cheap and boring and repetitive and unimpressive and private. I don't think they need to be aesthetic or productive or something that you have to monetize. I think sometimes it seems one of the most radical things you can do in consumer culture is just enjoying something quietly without upgrading it or branding it or turning it into content. I genuinely would love to know what you think about this down below. Do you you think hobbies have started to feel more expressive? Do you think hobbies have started to become more expensive, more pressured, or more performative to you? Or do you think this is just kind of another case of an internet over-analysis? Do let me know in the comments down below. I feel like we are just seeing this everywhere at the moment. Everything is getting monetized or made into content, and I think it is taking away some of those special feelings around these things like hobbies. Like I said, I think it's causing this sort of comparison shift where we are feeling inadequate when we are comparing ourselves to others, especially when you feel like you don't have the same supplies, and maybe it's like, oh, I'm not as good because I don't have the expensive materials. But I think something really important to remember is just having expensive equipment doesn't make you good at something. You see some artists that can create masterpieces with a set of £1 pencils from the shop, and someone with thousands of pounds worth of supplies really can't create anything that's that jaw-dropping. Of course, that's not to say you shouldn't be partaking in these hobbies if you're bad at something, but I think it's just an example of just because you don't have expensive supplies doesn't mean that you can't be good at something or participate in something. I just don't like that it's becoming some sort of identity culture online. I think that is one problem with online culture, is that we have to be some sort of person rather than ourselves with lots of different interests and parts to ourselves rather than just one identity. Consumerism in itself is definitely a topic I want to discuss a lot further in videos to come. I think we saw that with kind of how people brand things now, like with the Wicked movies coming out, and there was so many different products that were just unrelated to the film being sold as merchandise just to consume. We see it all the time with shops selling so much decorations for each holiday and just a lot of things that really aren't needed, and we keep consuming because we feel like we need to stay on top of trends or we need to live these aesthetically pleasing lives that we don't need to. We can just be ourselves, and that is enough. We don't have to keep following all these trends and holidays and seasons and everything that consumerism is pushing us to try and do. But I think I'm going to leave it there. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy, please subscribe down below and like this video. This was a slightly shorter one. Please do let me know down below what you are enjoying in terms of video length. I am hoping to try and make some longer videos, but also, would you want to see shorter videos? Is there any videos you want to see in particular? If you have any ideas or suggestions, please do leave them down below. I do check out for what you guys want to see, and I am actively working towards that. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.